future just keeps rolling with all this new technology and constant innovation. What will the workforce of tomorrow look like? At PwC, we took the future into our own hands by putting people first. We invested in upskilling our 284,000 employees worldwide to bring our business into the future. And while we were doing it, we also invested in solutions for your business, your people, your future. Because everything we learned helped us build the skills and knowledge we all need in this changing world. We can help guide you through the twists and turns of the upskilling journey we've been on, no matter where you are on yours. We broke it down into 5 steps. Assess and launch, so your business strategy and upskilling plan are moving in the same direction, no matter which way your business needs to go. Learn new concepts and new skills fearlessly. Apply it all every day and master it. Finally, we can help you do it at scale, so you get the enterprise-wide, people-led performance and ROI that helps make it all pay off. We'll help reinvent the future of your organization and everyone in it. At PwC, we're building our workforce of tomorrow. Let us show you what yours looks like.
We're taught that 1 + 1 = 2. Simple, right? But today's world isn't simple. So, what happens if we look at it from a new angle? Could we make something greater? If we bring together human ingenuity, passion, and experience with the latest technology, we start to make something more. Something we can see in people's lives and feel in the world around them. Building trust for today and tomorrow. And that's the thing. We all know the math. But we need a new way to put it together. Which means we don't just find answers. We never stop looking for them. A passionate community of solvers, coming together in unexpected ways, creating new solutions for a new day. That's the new equation.
What does value mean to you? Is it the value you provide to society? Does it come from your investments? Do you find it by helping others fulfill their potential? Or in the changes you make to unlock new opportunities? It can be all those things. Value is what you make it. It's in your reputation, your relationships, in the lessons you've learned, and the ideas that inspire you. But identifying new ways to tap into it and seeing where more can be found isn't always easy. You need a fresh perspective, bold thinking, imagination, a desire to look differently at the world around you. Whether you're looking to protect the value of what you already have, create value from innovation, or rethink where value can be found, your approach to value will map your route to greater resilience, growth, and opportunity. Together, we can create value.
Welcome to the launch of the 2021 MAP PwC Mid-Year CEO Survey. Our program will start in a few minutes. Thank you.
just keeps rolling with all this new technology and constant innovation. What will the workforce of tomorrow look like? At PwC, we took the future into our own hands by putting people first. We invested in upskilling our 284,000 employees worldwide to bring our business into the future. And while we were doing it, we also invested in solutions for your business, your people, your future. Because everything we learned helped us build the skills and knowledge we all need in this changing world. We can help guide you through the twists and turns of the upskilling journey we've been on, no matter where you are on yours. We broke it down into 5 steps. Assess and launch, so your business strategy and upskilling plan are moving in the same direction, no matter which way your business needs to go. Learn new concepts and new skills fearlessly. Apply it all every day and master it. Finally, we can help you do it at scale, so you get the enterprise-wide, people-led performance and ROI that helps make it all pay off. We'll help reinvent the future of your organization and everyone in it. At PwC, we're building our workforce of tomorrow. Let us show you what yours looks like.
We're taught that 1 + 1 = 2. Simple, right? But today's world isn't simple. So, what happens if we look at it from a new angle? Could we make something greater? If we bring together human ingenuity, passion, and experience with the latest technology, we start to make something more. Something we can see in people's lives and feel in the world around them. Building trust for today and tomorrow. And that's the thing. We all know the math. But we need a new way to put it together. Which means we don't just find answers. We never stop looking for them. A passionate community of solvers, coming together in unexpected ways, creating new solutions for a new day. That's the new equation.
What does value mean to you? Is it the value you provide to society? Does it come from your investments? Do you find it by helping others fulfill their potential? Or in the changes you make to unlock new opportunities? It can be all those things. Value is what you make it. It's in your reputation, your relationships, in the lessons you've learned, and the ideas that inspire you. But identifying new ways to tap into it and seeing where more can be found isn't always easy. You need a fresh perspective, bold thinking, imagination, a desire to look differently at the world around you. Whether you're looking to protect the value of what you already have, create value from innovation, or rethink where value can be found, your approach to value will map your route to greater resilience, growth, and opportunity. Together, we can create value.
A year after COVID-19 became a global pandemic, uncertainties still exist across the world. To understand its continuing impact on businesses in our country, PwC Philippines, together with the Management Association of the Philippines, surveyed 131 CEOs from April to May 2021. Thank you for joining us today as we find out how business leaders are responding to the current challenges and adjusting their plans for recovery. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rocky Saldahano of PwC Philippines. Welcome to today's virtual launch of the MAP PwC 2021 Mid-Year CEO Survey. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the MAP for being our partner in this survey, as well as the CEO. Let us now begin. Okay, we're back. And I hope that set the tone for this afternoon. May I call on the chairman and senior partner of PwC Philippines, Mr. Roderick Danao.
To our distinguished guests of panelists, Ms. Rain Cinco-Chan, CEO of Wilcon Depot, Ms. Ann Pastrana, EVP of FastCat, Ms. Alma Jimenez, CEO, Health Solutions Corp., Ms. Jean De Castro, CEO of ESCA Inc., our friends in media and business community, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The past year and a half has been the most challenging of all the crises that we've experienced in our lifetime. During the most, and probably the darkest moments of this pandemic, marked by severely battered economy, massive unemployment, hunger, poverty, overwhelmed healthcare system, limited vaccine supply, we felt and have been moved by our enduring Filipino bayanihan spirit, shining bright, touching lives, sharing love, and most of all, giving hope. In the last year's survey, most of our CEOs had a wait-and-see outlook because of uncertainties. But 6 months into the pandemic, with many companies reinventing their business model and the arrival of some vaccines, how do CEOs now see the future? What are their plans? This afternoon, our friends, ladies and gentlemen, we will share with you the findings of our mid-year CEO survey. On behalf of PwC, I would like to thank the 131 CEOs who participated in the survey. Special thanks to MAP, Management Association of the Philippines, for helping us complete the survey process. We usually conduct this survey every September, but this year, given the circumstances, we wanted to get a sense of where we are now and where we are heading to. I hope that the findings of the survey, as well as the sharing in this event, will continue to inspire our business leaders to work together in the building our country, our beloved Philippines. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Also opening the event is our partner MAP. May I call on the chair of the MAP CEO Conference Committee, Ms. Alma Rita Jimenez.
Good afternoon, everyone. Special mention to Chair Alex and Rick of PwC and the other panelists here present this afternoon. Never in the history of this generation had it been confronted with an almost catastrophic event that turned the world figuratively upside down. A disease outbreak is probably in the risk management or business continuity plans of most companies. But this pandemic was something we did not think will happen. But it did, and we are all unprepared. It is no wonder that we are all reacting to challenges and circumstances as they come. And to be sure, we have no guidebook for this. Many are unsure about the next steps, and businesses where planning is a must are suddenly taken out of their comfort zones. Because no one experienced these events before, no one is also an expert on what to do. At best, what we have are informed guesses. This is where opinions and sentiments become our temporary benchmarks to try and reduce ambiguities. Surveys are able to collect data and some insights that can at least inject a semblance of understanding for the unknown. Running a mid-year survey to have a better understanding of the continuing impact of COVID-19 outbreak on businesses in our country allowed us to have a sense of the collective thoughts and compare these to our respective experiences. The results that will be shared by PwC will be valuable inputs as we all transition to a different future. MAP values is its partnership with PwC in taking a barometer reading of business sentiments in a variety of issues, a joint effort we have been undertaking for the past 7 years. Those survey results provided the snapshot from where we undertook activities that resonated with the concerns articulated by the respondents. Last year's CEO conference was both relevant to the times and appreciated by its audience, and the survey undertaken a few months before holding the web conference helped us focus on what counts for the participants. This year, our partnership with PwC will again be in play as we gather information through another survey to prepare for 2021's conference in September. The results will hopefully enrich its content as we look at hindsights, insights, and foresights, the future in the present tense. On behalf of the Management Association of the Philippines, we acknowledge the valuable contributions of PwC as our knowledge partner, and we look forward to continuing this journey with you this 2021. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Alma, for the show of trust. And now to give us the results of the survey, and we see many of the respondents in the audience today, we're now giving the virtual floor to PwC Philippines Chairman Emeritus, Attorney Alex Cabrera.
to our hardworking MAP officers, and all my colleagues in MAP. A very good afternoon to all of you. I hope that you are all strong, healthy, and happy. And I myself am very happy to be joining you this afternoon to present the 2021 Mid-Year CEO Survey conducted by PwC as knowledge partner of MAP. It has been more than a year ago since CEOs decided to put forward their bravest, if not the best version of themselves to survive and thrive in this unprecedented crisis. And we all did so for our families, for all people that depends on us, and for everyone that we can help, for the larger stakeholders of our companies. CEOs fought with caution for more than a year now. Oh, but fight they did every day. And today, we find out, do our CEOs feel the same way that they did in 2020? Were they too conservative? Were they on the spot with their estimates, with their calculations and their plans? I will hold you in no further suspense, and I will present the results of our survey. Well, we conducted this survey this second quarter of this year. So just recently conducted, and we had 131 respondents, a very good number, in fact, even compared to our previous surveys. And I wouldn't say that people got bored and they found answering surveys exciting, so they participated. But it's really because I think that people understand the importance of these kinds of surveys. Um, these surveys provide a temperature check and the mindset and the feelings of the CEO. And however the CEOs feel will dictate the direction of their business. The survey is well represented in terms of industries and the sizes of the companies. In industries, we have the financial services, manufacturing, transport and logistics, real estate distribution, services and technology. They're all quite represented in this survey. So off the bat, let's see the confidence of the CEOs in their organization's revenue growth in the next 12 months. You will see just a review in 2019. This is pre-pandemic. The CEOs were, 90% of the CEOs were quite confident about their revenue growth. When the pandemic hit, um, the confidence went down to less than 60%. But now in June 2021, that revenue growth confidence is up to 63%. In fact, for the next 3 years, 85% of the CEOs feel more confident about their revenue growth. This jives well with their feeling that in the next 3 years, the Philippine economy will recover. And if you will note that this CEO response on recovery time of the Philippine economy is even more conservative than other government institutions' estimates. Like, for instance, the ADB expects the Philippine economy to recover in 2 years. And I think it's the World Bank as well, even more bullish about the recovery. But when the CEO said that it will take 3 more years, you tend to doubt whether there's some truth in this. And then the first quarter of this year's results came out from the Philippine Statistics Authority, showing a contraction of our Philippine economy by further 4%. So I would go with the CEO's estimate of how long our Philippine economy will recover. And if you add to this, of course, the present day concerns about the variants, the Delta variants and the other variants that will be coming forward, as well as the speed at which our vaccination process is happening, then I think this estimate of the CEOs is well founded. I present to you here how the CEOs feel about the industry growth in the next 12 months. And I selected some of the industries here. If you look at the financial services, they are actually feeling that the growth will be muted, probably partly because of the status of NPLs and how businesses feel about acquiring loans nowadays. Manufacturing industrial products include exporters, and so you can understand that the challenges in export is also driving the CEO confidence in this industry. Of course, real estate and wholesale distribution is a challenge sector as well as transport and logistics. But consumer and retail is a very interesting industry now. You know, BSP has estimated that 91% of Filipinos are internet users, and data also shows that 91% of internet users go search for food and services. And even more important, 70% of that 91% consummate the transaction. And this shows you that there's a lot of promise on e-commerce. Um, so far as health and pharma services are concerned, the confidence is muted because the demand for traditional health services is still not there. People are still very cautious in going to hospitals. And the other part of that is that people are taking better care of themselves nowadays and they require less of the traditional medicine. Of course, food and beverage is very strong. People are this industry is very confident because people at home have nothing to do but eat, drink, and watch Netflix. Insofar as telecommunications is concerned, you will see here that the industry growth they feel is will be quite muted. But you can also see that they did their part in rolling out infrastructure. You know, but there are still challenges even with the initiatives to improve doing business. There are still challenges in dealing with LGUs, um, and also the change in consumer behavior. Um, the change now is from the focus to from the commercial segment to more of individual consumers who use voice, SMS, and small packets of data. So these individual consumers are now super data consumers, and telco companies need to catch up with their infrastructure to address this new consumer segment. And and you can see here that infrastructure is actually the missing link um, with all its value chain. Um, this sector is not very confident about the prospects. Of course, still awaiting the results of the vaccination rollout. And these are what the CEOs feel are the factors that contributed to the revenue downturn. Lower sales because of lesser purchasing power of customers who were affected. Some of them needed to close their outlets and branches temporarily or permanently. And those who are selling non-essential goods and services have lesser demand. And of course, there are supply chain issues coming from SMEs whose continuity of operations were affected, and of course, logistics challenges. Still a large number of CEOs, 73% of CEOs expect revenue losses in 2021. Um, Overall, it's slightly improved, you know, but I can't help but notice here that about 10% or of the CEOs feel that they will suffer revenue losses by as much as 30%. And when I looked underneath, um, this refers to exporters and the financial services consumer. 84% of CEOs admit that their employees were infected by the virus. Um, Large part, 5% or less, of their um, personnel have been affected by the virus. And these are the industries whose workforce were affected the most. Financial services, because we needed the banks, the manufacturing, because they needed to go to their plants, transport and logistics, are very important frontliners, real estate and wholesale distribution, and particularly those people who are involved in sales. These are the exciting action plans being thought of by the CEOs. Um, the restructuring of employee benefits, is a must to adapt to the present reality of at least a partial work from home. But they're deferring planned general capital investments. Um, they're exploring new market channels, and this is quite true even for the smaller enterprises. Um, they didn't need so much capital for their online business, and then they can also explore different markets online. Um, there are many who are launching new products, especially digital products. But 57% of our CEOs are implementing sustainable practices. Case in point is Globe Telecom's Waste Zero program to recover old and used electronic devices, and retrieve them and recycle them. Meralco, for instance, is looking to greenify its supply portfolio by securing a 1,500 megawatts of clean energy contracts to begin with. Coca-Cola Philippines has its Without Waste program, committed to having or collecting 100% of its uh, plastic bottles recovered and recycled by the year 2030. And Pepsi Cola's, of course, I need to balance because both are clients. And Pepsi Cola also has this plastic offset program in partnership with PCX, Plastic Credit Exchange, and they're trying to achieve plastic neutrality as well. So there's a lot going on in the sustainable practices space coming from our CEOs, and of course there's more not only in the environment but also on the governance side and also on the social side of the ESG. About 70% of CEOs say that they expect their workforce to get vaccinated in 2021. And there's some validation in this because this is also the plan of the government to complete the rollout of vaccination, um, and complete that by this year. And you've seen that the Department of Health has already announced that they already vaccinated 9.6 million of our population, and the target is 70 million of our population um, by December, um, by the end of December 2021. And and I can say that there's a plan in place, because PwC itself is working with the DICT in the program management and governance around the vaccination rollout for the entire country. And I think it's promising. It's not only aspirational; it can be implemented, but it's really a question of having the supply available. The supply is there. The vaccination rollout um, timeline can happen. It is not surprising that CEOs have adopted at least a partial work from home policy. But what would probably be still revealing is that 76% of our CEOs say that 50% of their workforce will be working from home on a permanent basis. And that explains all the adjustments that they will do insofar as employee benefits are concerned. It's really positive for anybody who can adopt a flexible policy insofar as workplace is concerned. But this will still be an issue for those who cannot work without working in the office. And I think a very um, timely data would be on the unemployment. Because if you have a work from home policy, then you can continue to be employed. But people who are not employed, that's still 7.1%, although quite down from the original 17.6% of the unemployment rate at the start of the pandemic. But also telling is the percentage of underemployment, which is around 16 to 18%. The work from home policy, of course, has its benefits. Being with family, with children, um, not needing the time to go to the office and not needing those office clothes. But there's a more important issue also that should be addressed arising from the work from home policy, which is the rising rate of depression because people working from home, they feel alone, um, and they don't have the support system that they have in the office. The camaraderie and the personal interaction is so important, and that is why I believe CEOs are saying up to 50%, but I would say only up to 50%. When the pandemic is done, and hopefully the pandemic will blow over soon after our vaccinations, then the work from home policy will be probably converted to a work from anywhere policy. It may be surprising to you that 70% of CEOs do not have plans for raising finance. And this is despite the fact that many of the CEOs, about more than 50% of them, say that their cash runway is only up to 6 months, and a few of them have cash runways of more than 12 months. But they're not looking at raising finance. They're putting in equity. What's really happening now is that they're looking for partners, and there's a lot of action now happening in the M&A space. Regardless of industry, in fact, and while some of them are still going for bank financing, equity financing is becoming the financing of choice for many of our CEOs. They're trying to spread the risk, uh, and they don't mind spreading the benefits. What are the government actions needed to help business recover, according to our CEOs? The effective and equitable vaccination program on top of the list. Tax incentives now given by law and hopefully will not be taken by regulations. Um, Create a coordinated and strong mitigated recovery plan for each sector, and reopen the economy. And of course, it will be open as soon as we try to figure out this Delta virus and how to manage and control that, and as soon as our vaccination gets substantially done. There are important issues not covered by the CO survey, of course, and not everything can be projected by revenue growth. There are other important issues in education, poverty, and inclusion. That is why I'm also making a pitch this afternoon for everyone to embrace the mindset of what MAP espoused and what other organizations now support, which is called shared prosperity. Um, how we use shared prosperity to build our nation individually and collectively is up to us, because those who have less in life should have more in our business plans. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you for the comprehensive presentation of the survey results, Alex, and the interesting insights behind the data. To dig deeper into what we just learned, we have a panel discussion to be moderated by the CEO of local engineering firm ESCA Inc., and she is also currently the chair of the Urban Land Institute Philippines. Let's all welcome Ms. Jean De Castro.
Hello, everyone. It is an honor to be part of this event and to get the opportunity to speak with fellow CEOs on three things that was highlighted in the survey, right? Impact of COVID after a year, recovery plan, and outlook. It's raining hard outside. You can even hear the thunder. So I hope you're all safe wherever you are. I'm happy to be part of a female-dominated panel today. Joining me in the panel are my own personal inspiration of female leadership and CEOs. I would like to welcome in the panel Ms. Lorraine Bello Cinco-Chan, CEO of Wilcon Depot. Mary Ann Pastrana, founder and EVP of Archipelago Philippine Ferries Corporation, or better known for their Fast Cat. And rejoining us on stage, our chair of MAP CEO Conference Committee President and CEO of Health Solutions Corporation, Ms. Almerita Jimenez. And also, let's call back on stage Attorney Alex Cabrera, Chairman Emeritus of PwC, and Deals and Corporate Finance Managing Partner of PwC, Mary Jade Divinagracia. Thank you. Hello, nice seeing all of you. Everyone's getting beamed up, feeling very techy here. So now I wanted to focus on Anne and Rain, right? The survey showed us the numbers. Now I wanted you to share with us, they talked about CEOs experiencing losses in 2020, expecting more losses in 2021. This was, of course, felt very differently across very different industries. So can you both share us, a quick look or a picture of how that was in your company, and what were the structural changes you had to make in response to that? Not band-aid solutions like wear a mask or wear a face shield, but changes that you felt were necessary to either survive, adapt, or thrive. Rain, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, so we've had to adapt as with everybody, like the retailers. We had to put in the health and safety protocols for both employees and customers. And really the big thing that really pushed it, acceleration of our e-commerce initiative. It was actually already in the pipeline, but basically this just accelerated everything, and we had to put in more resources, more time to just quickly get a site up and running. So we then put in online shopping, like a personal shopper, but through Viber or Facebook Messenger. So that was really something that I remember it was earlier mentioned, like we were so out of our comfort zone, and I felt it so much. We were like, what do we do? We don't know what's going on. All our stores or Luzon stores had to be closed. So we had no sales for that March to May period. And when we opened again, we had to face restrictions because we only could come in with 50% of our employees. So that was really a big challenge. So what happened there was, because of all these restrictions, consumer behavior meant that people would stay in the store less. But at the same time, because we were able to kind of optimize the number of people in our stores, we actually put in a major structural change, which was to streamline our store personnel's organization and optimize the manning of each location. And one learning we also had was like the key people, but I think this is a business continuity, something for business continuity. Your key people have to live close to your location. I think that was one of the things we had to learn, that like something when we man stores, when we put out stores everywhere, we would have to have very key people that live very close by. So those are some of the things that we had to put in place, and it's working for us actually. Not to preempt our results, but it's looking good. I think for the first half of this year, and we hope for a better, a really good second half for this year.
Yeah, so they really said that the digitalization, right, process was already in place. It was a trend, it was given, but this pandemic really escalated that or sped that up. How about you, Anne?
Yeah, so for us in the maritime industry, so you see, we connect the Philippine Islands via ro-ro vessels. And when the pandemic hit, no, there were no passengers. But the good thing is that we carried cargoes and we never stopped since day one. So sales was down by 65% compared to pre-pandemic rates. So we quickly had to pivot by doing smart runs. So connecting with our clients and cutting down on trips so that we make sure that we have the rolling cargo on board so that we can continue carrying them. Of course, we took care of our people. So we practiced all the safety protocols, gave them vitamin C. For the head office, we provided shuttle service for them so that they don't. Well, there's no public transport at that time. So the different islands had different protocols, which is really difficult for us. But people with business in the areas allowed to travel, and so we carry them. We made sure that we keep the highest safety protocols to ensure that they feel safe while traveling with us. So the high level of cleanliness and safety is there to make sure that we don't spread the disease. And of course, digitalization, like Rain has mentioned, that was there before the pandemic, but it really propelled the growth and the use of our FastCat app. So the idea is to provide seamless transport and contactless as much as possible, and that is also being used up to now. So we're happy that happened.
Alma, I wanted to go to you because MAP has over 1,000 members, and you're one of the most respected organizations in the country. I'm sure these stories sound, very familiar, right? Hearing them from your members and all that. What role did you have to play during the pandemic, and how do you plan to help your members moving forward?
Yeah, thank you, Jean. I'll apologize in advance for the rain because it's really raining very hard. Back to your question, in dealing not only with uncertainties but with the unknown, cooperation, collaboration, and sharing of practices actually became very critical. It gives a little bit of confidence because we know that collectively, if we are fellow travelers, we are facing the challenges together. That is primarily, I think, the importance of MAP in these pandemic times. It enabled the mechanism where we can discuss issues together, learn together via various fora where relevant issues are taken up. It provided a marketplace where we can pick ideas and try them in our respective companies with a little bit of confidence because they are being tried by others already. And we can always ask in our various community chat boards suggestions or information about pressing issues and become updated. The MAP also became the vehicle for the availment of vaccines, integrating the process for our members. We were one of the first, if not the first association that undertook an all-out vaccine education program for our members. Our activities benefited our members in the past, but became intensified in these times of pandemic. And we will continue doing this moving forward. We can collectively air our opinion and have our voices heard on matters that affect private sector, as we have effectively done in the past. We were able to use various platforms such as social and traditional media to weigh in on various business concerns. And we will continue to mentor the next generation by including the academe in most of our activities. And we will continue to do our part in making social impact through our ESG practices and CSR programs. I think that captures it, right, Jade?
Yeah, I believe so, Alma. Very well put.
I think this is the time wherein you really need to work together, right? That sense of community becomes even more important because, as Alma, you mentioned earlier, there's no expert, right? We've never gone through this before. There's no guidebook. We're all really learning from each other, and that's why we're also here. Alex and Jade, I found it interesting in your study, right? You see somehow a confidence level, right? Despite the understanding that there will be losses, despite the understanding that this may not fully be over, there seems to be after a year of being in lockdown and having this experience, where is that confidence coming from? Are you seeing resilience? I know you had that global survey that really, emphasized resilience. Can you tell us more about that?
Go ahead, Jane.
Okay, all right. Let me connect that with another survey result that show that actual performance of companies in 2020 were actually better than anticipated. And Alex highlighted that earlier. 20% of the CEOs said that they did not suffer any revenue loss, with some even reporting that their operations improved. I think in the middle of last year, amidst all the uncertainties, CEOs took a more conservative position, providing for possible losses and really anticipating the worst. But towards the end of last year, businesses who were able to adjust their strategies and operations much quicker were actually realizing that things are not as bad as they initially thought it would be. However, I think we should make a distinction that most of the respondents for the CEO survey, and around 62% of them, are actually coming from large corporations. And these are well capitalized and have a cash runway stretching beyond 6 months, no? Some even more than a year. In contrast, you have SMEs who are struggling to make ends meet. 2020 will always be remembered as the year of the pandemic, but it was also a year of pivots. And Anna touched on this earlier, no? Businesses have stepped up to the challenge and adjusted their business models to protect their employees and also to continue to serve their customers. Now, of course, COVID is bad, but if we look at the positive side, we can be thankful that this happened in the year 2020 when there are already computers, internet, and we can work and collaborate in the cloud. The impact could have been much worse if the technologies that drive connectivity are not yet in place. And I suppose the Filipino spirit and ingenuity really took center stage. Businesses were quick to innovate, offering new products through new sales channels. It was like everyone was suddenly an entrepreneur, with online sellers in the community. Now, it was also a year of strategic partnerships and collaborations. Now, we've seen traditional businesses working closely with technology companies who offer e-commerce platforms, online payment options, as well as last mile delivery. And Rain mentioned earlier that they had to accelerate putting up their online store. So I guess during these challenging times, we are all realizing that we need to be agile, creative, and that we also need to work together, as Alma also emphasized. And moving to 2021, I believe we will see more of these capability-driven M&As as companies acquire critical capabilities to continue to transform their organizations to thrive in this new reality. Alex?
I agree. No, but just to add an angle, there's it also shows that there's a lot of businesses in the country, which are small businesses or family corporations, and when I say that, it already spells a lot of difference, because family corporations consider the family business as the family gem, and there's no stopping them from sacrificing to save the most valuable family asset, which they want to pass on to the next generations. And I think it works. And I think the Filipino trait of malasakit comes in during these most difficult times. And I've seen people coming in and not getting paid, and they're not complaining for the meantime. And you've also seen business owners. I've seen a lot, business owners putting in their own money, loss after loss, expense after expense, but they've decided, that this is one fight that they should win, and I guess the giving up is just not in their vocabulary. I think more than anything else, it's that mindset that really saved all of us.
It's almost like you're saying that resilience is almost innate, right, in Filipinos as well. Now, you're talking about that, continuity and resilience. Rain Welcome Depot has been around for 40 years. And Anne also Fast Cat for 2 decades already. So these companies have lasted for so long. And they say you never really know who you are and what you stand for until you're confronted by something as big and as devastating as this, right? So what do you think were the strengths of that your company already had, right? That allowed you to weather the storm and even to quickly adjust to it and adapt to it. Anne, maybe you can go ahead.
Yeah, so in our case, I think what really helped us is our vision to connect the Philippine Islands. And we believe that we're doing something bigger than ourselves. So it's really connecting the islands in a very safe, very fast, and very convenient way. And so that is our mission. So despite the things before us, I have this favorite verse in the Bible: walk by faith, not by sight. So the sight before us, the pandemic, it is really devastating. This is a tough business as it is. And then coupled with pandemic, it was really crushing. But what really gets us moving is like what Alex said is this vision to continue doing, not give up, focus on how to survive, because we know that the islands need us, that we are economic enablers. We carry cargoes, we carry agriculture, produce. Maritime students have their cadetship program with us, and therefore we help them earn the dollars, the future global seafarers. So it's not us, just us, but it, our business has a ripple effect that will do good for our country. So that's what I always say, para sa bayan. And I guess that is our battle cry, and we tell everybody that despite all the hardships, we have a vision. We have a very clear vision. We have a mission to connect the Philippine Islands, and therefore, whatever problems and challenges are is in front of us, we will conquer. We can do this. And so far, that is what really carried us. So the time that we are not running commercially on full capacity, we took this time to train people, to have all these webinars, trainings, our e-learning platform. And one thing that we also did at this time is to connect with the maritime industry, really open up the communication from the academe to the industry, to the global maritime industry, so that we create that pipeline, so that when business bounces back and it's open, we are stronger, we are ready. Game na! Yan. Yun yung sasabihin ko. So there.
I love it that the vision hasn't changed, right? The business model maybe has changed strategies, but the vision remained very clear. It's very clear. Game na. Okay, Rain.
I'm very inspired, Anne. Our vision also is remains unchanged. We really want to bring closer to all the Filipino people, building materials, home improvement, to really build up their spaces. And one of the values that we have is really just doing it, moving very quickly, moving forward. We have a plan to open 10 stores this year, and we're not stopping there. When we were in the midst of the lockdown last year, we really very intentionally did not want to be in analysis paralysis, as sometimes we don't know what we're doing. It's very uncomfortable, but we just went ahead and did it step by step. Whatever information we got, we just went with it. And as Jade mentioned earlier, a lot of businesses just kind of pivoted and changed the way they did things. And I resonated with that. It's really the same with us, because we really had to survive. And obviously, we really needed to also thrive for the next generation. I also echo what Alex said about family corporations. We are a family business. I'm second gen, and this is really indeed the crown jewel. It's like we will need to work on keeping the business alive, of course, for the next generation and more generations to come. Another value for us is we value compassion, and we nurture our employees. So last year, we saw massive unemployment, actually, right, in the retail sector worldwide. There were so many retrenchments in different countries. And this was really something intentionally that as a company, we decided was not part of our core values. So values, we opted instead to just pay salaries despite being closed. We had no sales during the lockdown in March of 2020. But that malasakit, we saw our frontliners having the courage despite COVID-19. Like, we had no idea what was going to happen. And they came in, they manned our stores when the lockdowns lifted. And I'm truly proud of our employees, especially our frontliners. So they never stopped. So that's really something that we learn and we continue to be inspired by our frontliners even today.
So it really puts your values to the test, right? Once you get into these very, very difficult decisions. Alma, you mentioned earlier there's no guidebook and we can really only learn from each other. What were some of the other best practices you've seen other than that shared by Rain and Anne from your members in terms of how they were coping with this crisis? Oh, sorry, Alma, you're on mute.
There are so many problems discussed now on the community boards, and we try to weigh in on each other's concerns. But I think there are four key issues that resonated with a lot of the members. We know that the best laid plans can be shot to pieces by one unforeseen circumstance, such as what is happening right now in the pandemic. So the importance of disaster preparedness and risk management plans for business continuity is highlighted and should be a critical component of business operation from this point forward. It pays to be prepared because even if the event is unknown, some aspects of the plan can still work. Hindi naman totally you throw it out of the windows. There will still be something useful there. Next is that the digital transformation, as mentioned by Jade, has been accelerated. So taking steps to manage the process of transitioning our organizations to this new age will allow us to take advantage of the technology in making our operations more efficient and the way we do business better. There are many challenges, however, but in the end, the advantages will be worth the effort. That is, if you know how to put these advantages to work. The third is the so-called hybrid workplace, which has become the norm. But many continue to try and fit the old practices into this new environment. That will not allow the realization of its full potential, especially in using these mechanisms as a tool for productivity, as a tool to streamline your operation, to provide better service, and more importantly, create a workplace that can be conducive to talent acquisition and retention. We need to be strategic on how best we can leverage our resources to enable this. And then we also realize that health and safety are critical. We have seen how a dot of virus can stop the world. Workplace wellness and health education should become integral to our business operations. We should learn how to navigate the changed health delivery mechanisms and be more innovative in approaching and implementing our health management programs. Again, this can be expensive, and understanding the system is a must. Not the packaged services that may be convenient, but in the end has little contribution to maintaining wellness physically and mentally. And finally, I will mention again this theme, collaboration and cooperation. They are very critical if we are to survive this pandemic and craft a better future for all of us. It is probably a cliche, but this pandemic showed the value of bayanihan. We are seeing a different playing field as we slowly emerge from this dark tunnel, and doing it alone will not hack it. We must help one another cross the broken bridge, even carry in our shoulders those at their weakest. And I am glad Jade mentioned the MSMEs because they were truly badly hit. That burden will be lighter if we share the weight. And you'll never know if you are going to be the one needing to be carried. Wouldn't it be nice to know that you will have a helping hand in case? So I think those are the four lessons that most of us learned in this pandemic. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jean.
the idea of bayanihan, helping each other. Alex, you actually spoke about that. The shared was that your word shared prosperity, right? That concern for the communal interest, right? And we see that. We see the private sector, businesses trying very hard, some badly hit, and we take a look in the international world how they see us. So the Philippines ranks 52nd out of 53 countries in terms of Bloomberg's COVID resilience ranking, right? But we feel like we're just trying very hard. So how can the private sector help in terms of improving that? How can we do it together?
Yeah, it's more do it together, private sector and government, Gene. Well, I think that whatever wrong we've done in the past in terms of the speed at which we're vaccinating our people. If we do it right, I mean, if we get it done by the end of the year, or even shortly after that, and nothing of this transparency issues, and everything is above board, and that's done with lots of governance. I think we will recover in the eyes of the international community. I mean, it's not about finishing all at the same time, right? But it's about getting it done. So we have time, and PwC is also in the loop on this with DICT, helping out on the project management and governance on the vaccination rollout. If we do it right, up to December, up to the end of the year, substantially completed, I think we'll get it back. Secondly, the private sector, I think they have done their part in terms of digital transformation. I think government needs to digitally transform, and it's very important. It's going to be very helpful to the private sector as well. Imagine a no contact importation, or processing your permits with the LGU online, or dealing with the Bureau of Internal Revenue online when you don't need to. You don't need to go there and expose your staff. Of course, everything will be transparent, right? But that's how we want to do it anyway. And when the Philippine IT system gets underway, then the cash remittances or the subsidies to people, government services, public service will be more efficient. There's a lot that can be cured with digital transformation in government, not only the speed of public service, but transparency, governance, and if I may say, even corruption as well will be greatly minimized. Private sector still on mental wellness, Jean, can't forget that part, that soft part, which is very important. And you will never know how real it is until someone close to you gets hit with it, and then you will know, oh gosh, how real this problem is. And private sector, even without legislation, needs to put in certain protocols, certain employee benefits to ensure mental wellness, even having the presence of doctors in the virtual premises, and government should entertain even better legislation addressing mental wellness. Well, lastly, and Alma touched on disaster preparedness. I think that PPP on disaster preparedness and disaster resiliency needs to be in place. Of course, we have NGOs like PDRF and Arise working on this, but there is always room for more intensity in collaboration and cooperation in respect of disaster preparedness, recovery, and resiliency. Thank you, Jean.
Thanks, Alex. And that emphasis on mental health, Jade, you mentioned, right? At least now we have all these Zoom and all of that prevents people from being isolated. And yet there's still something else that we need to very much take into account, right? The mental health of our staff. And as Alma mentioned, not just focusing on productivity, right, on what they're doing, but really how they're coping, right, or languishing as the new term already for what we're going through. Rain, I wanted to understand also the shift. So you've talked about shifts in your company. What about now the shifts that you've observed in terms of consumer behavior? So you've been opening stores, like every time I meet Rain, I think she's opening a store somewhere, right? So you've constantly opened stores, but at the same time, you've also shifted to online. Now, PwC did their own survey. They had a global consumer insight pulse survey wherein it showed that over the last 12 months, it was almost equal already, physical stores and online stores, right? So how about in your case, what have you observed and how do you see this affecting your outlook for how you would see your customer behaving later on? Rain, you're on mute. Yeah.
Definitely customers won't stay as long in physical stores, not with all these variants floating around. So online is here to stay. And we see that our online sales will definitely track our physical store sales. Why? Because our products are not exactly consumer. You can't just, let's say a beauty product or food. It's not something you can just look online and just buy it. It's something that is a bit of a commitment, especially when it's to fix up or build something within your space. So we see that it's not a split, but rather really an enhancement. So more people will look online, will shop online, look for information, and that's where our online platform will take over. And then perhaps they just want one final look. Maybe, when you buy tile, let's say, you don't look at the tile and then you buy it right there and then. You kind of have to look 2 times, 3 times, see if it fits your kitchen, see if it fits your bathroom. And then once they have all the information, they come in, then they physically look at it. I'm okay with it, and then I'll buy it, and then I'll have it delivered or shipped through online. So that it's a little bit difficult to say, like, is there a split? Is there, like, it's just online only, offline only? It's not something that we see in our segment. It's because we are not consumer. We're not exactly consumer. So this is what we anticipate. And therefore, as you mentioned, we're opening another store in Sorsogon next week, actually. So physical stores are here to stay for us, because when we have a physical store, it's technically a warehouse. So people around Sorsogon can buy online, they can shop online, and we can have it delivered directly to the consumer in a short amount of time. Because, like, as we know, there are a lot of restrictions when you cross borders in different localities. And so this is really something of an advantage to us. And that's something we really want to continue to ramp up as we aim for more stores in the coming years.
So that's a 67.
I think 68.
68 store. Yeah. So, but it's good that you're reaching out, right? Because as you say, around your store now, the community around it also develops, right? And you have to also be concerned about logistics. And speaking of that, Anne, you've also ventured out, right? Not just in, in FastCat, but also in other services as well. You've even mentioned education and even hotels, right? So I'd like to know now, how do you see travel behavior change, or maybe logistics and shipping change as a product of what happened?
Yeah, we see people really wanting to go out and travel. For a lot of the travelers who, was not able to travel the past 2 years, we just want to get out. No, so I think what we're doing is really connecting with the tourism, the LGUs and the tourism sector, and telling them that, hey, there's this really safe place you can go to using our nautical highway. So like last weekend, I was in Mindoro for a farm, and we posted pictures, and then we got already reaction like, how do we go there? Is it easy? Is it already open? So what are we saying? We're getting people on board, making them, assuring them that it's ferry travel is safe, and that the islands in the Philippines are beautiful. We are opening new routes like the Zamboanga Basilan route, connecting Mindoro to Palawan, and then connecting with these small resorts, farms, Airbnbs, if there still is. But yes, the small resorts, and then creating products, assuring them that it's safe to travel and making it easy for them. That's one thing that we are doing now, especially in the agriculture sector, that we have all these laws about organic agriculture and all these farm schools. I think it's a matter of communicating it to the citizenry or to the world that we are capable of this, communicating that it's safe. Ferry travel is safe. The islands are beautiful. We believe in the Philippines and domestic travel, and we are confident that with our service and just really giving that quality, assurance, as I would say now, very safe, very fast, very convenient. And I haven't said that our big, hairy, audacious goal is 60 fast cats by 2030. So, Lorraine, 20 years pa lang naman, but 40 years nang will con. But
you'll catch up.
Those are big, hairy, audacious goal, and to connect also Philippines to the neighboring Asian countries like Palawan to Malaysia, and General Santos to Indonesia. So that's really in the goal, no, in the next 10 years. So connecting with our customers, communicating to them our service, assuring them that it's safe, and just continue with the vision of 60 fast cats by 2030. So then,
Very, very fast, very convenient, hopefully very soon, right? The travel, revenge travel very soon. We're all looking for that. It's also good for mental health, to be out in nature and really to enjoy the Philippine Islands. Now we have a question here from an audience. So Jade, Alex, in your survey, right, you asked about their CEO levels confidence in terms of the economic outlook. One of our audience is asking now, does this take into consideration that it's an election year next year? And does it give any expectations as to the turnout of that? Who would like to take
that? maybe I can quickly start. I think that the CEOs have considered that next year is definitely an election year. But I think what we have seen over the years is that businesses thrive and adjust no matter who's sitting in Malacanang. I think while foreign investors may be taking that into consideration and may have a wait and see attitude, but local businesses have always been very positive about the economy, given that we are a huge consumption-led economy, and they remain optimistic despite the political uncertainties.
Yeah, I agree, Jade, and I think regardless of who will be in government, what is very important is to maintain fairness and a level playing field for everyone, not to give undue advantages to anyone because of affinity, but to treat everyone on the merits. And any government that can promise transparency and accountability will be very good for business. But I said I agree with Jade because the one of the great talents of business is to be successful despite of government.
All right. So, talking about this optimism in terms of outlook. Now, let's go to outlook for. Are you guys optimistic, Rain? And I mean, I know you have scars, right? Scars to show you have your battle armor on, but what do you see in the near future? What opportunities do you see? For example, Rain, the fact that you're continuing to open stores. So is that what is that an indication of now the construction industry? What is your outlook on that? And then also for Anne, right? Travel has been one of the badly hit. Actually, interesting, right? 100% not so confident was infrastructure. And I would expect that to be the one more for travel and tourism. So I would like to get, as CEOs, what are you guys seeing in your in the vision ahead?
For
Rain, you'd like
Wilcon,
to?
yeah. So for Wilcon, the opportunity is really to continue placing stores closer to more markets. For us, there are still untapped areas in the Philippines where we can actually thrive, have a location, and while the increase in our sales would be a sign of a healthy construction sector, but by and large, we're looking at mostly end users I think we were chatting a while ago about being work from home, improving perhaps their kitchens, their home offices and spaces. So there's still that market for small renovations. And actually that's what we're seeing in terms of sales. Many products like paints, we saw a very large increase in paints because people were just doing small home improvement projects. And that's something that surprisingly is doing pretty well. But the opportunity is still for the major construction, which is kind of, we feel that anecdotally, some of our professional clients, like maybe perhaps you also know, like with architects or contractors, they're actually doing planning. They're in the planning stages. So there's this still, there will be this drive to start up building spaces and actually even resorts or hotels in anticipation of with Anne, like tourism to go up. And that's also a segment that we tap into. And so we see that as the economy goes up, as more activity happens, tourism, going out to these places, those areas, we find that there will still be opportunity. Whether they stay home, they go on vacation, they travel around the Philippines. It's there, and hopefully, with restaurants, going to different locations in the Philippines. So it's something that nationwide we feel that there will be still markets where we have not yet tapped, and so that's the opportunity for us.
And how about you?
Yeah. In our case, there's a saying, no shipping, no shopping. So ayaw natin yan, di ba? We don't want that. Because if there's no ships taking the goods in the countryside, no shopping. Sad to say, the maritime industry lacks maybe the support or the attention that it needs. But the potential is just so great. We belong to a global industry. And if you don't know, the Philippines is considered the manning capital of the world, wherein 35% of the seafarers manning the global fleet are Filipinos. And the potential there is just so great in all aspects. So, in what we do now, the hardware of the ship, the modern ships, we are hoping that people see that we deserve better. Filipinos deserve better. We don't have to necessarily keep the reputation that we have, that we hold the highest record of maritime incidents. No, so parang wow, it's shameful that we hold that in the accident of our maritime accidents where we lost so many lives. In the hardware of a fast cat, we are changing that. We are erasing that bad record, just uplifting the way people travel, giving them the dignity, decent transport. And we have seen over the years that when we connect the islands, it does a ripple effect in the islands, in the people, in the seafarers that we supply to the global world. And the potential is just there. So in doing what we are doing, it is our hope that we increase awareness and attention to our industry that will bring that prosperity, the shared prosperity that Alex is talking about. I because of this business, I'm into farming now, and I take the seafarers there, the cadets that train with us. I take them there, and what's my goal? I tell them that, hey, when you have your dollars, when you have earned your dollars, and you come back, you can go to farming. You can invest your money in farming too, and then come back, stay here, stay with your family, and help grow our country. So if you see the Philippine Islands, it's just so beautiful. There's so much potential. We can graduate from exporting our manpower and making them stay here in the Philippines, build more hotels, farms, get from Wilcon, those supplies. So the potential is just great. No? So with what we are doing, I think we are preparing the platform. I have so many fast cat stories where people would say their lives changed because of fast cat. They had opportunities. So we say nga we are economic enablers. So for us, just the act of physically connecting the islands via these moving bridges, we are hoping that we can just spark that growth in the countryside, get the attention of people in the countryside, and just really develop and educate people. In the maritime sector, wherein there are a lot of issues plaguing the industry, and we just have to bring it up, bring up the quality and the trust level. And FastCat is doing that. So that's where we are. That's the mission, the vision, very clear. And so sabi nga ni Alex, our focus is just to survive. We will not give up. We will see it through. And like Lorraine, this is also a family business. First generation nga lang kami ni Chef, but we are already involving our children. So my two elder daughters are here, although they're not into maritime. My two sons are in maritime. They're studying in New York in maritime. So what are we saying? We are focusing this. We are passionate about connecting the Philippine Islands. We are equipping ourselves, making sure that we are competent, we are expert, and that is the message that we are telling the young people working with us that we must be good to take this to the next level, take it global. We must really be leaders in what we do. Be that for the country. So there, Mama.
So, and
Galing.
always very inspiring. And you know what? Because right, the when you look at the survey, you have varying confidence levels of the different CEOs. But that's what Alex said, right? Despite the odds, right? Because of your vision, because of each CEO's vision, our love and passion for what we do, right? For example, we're in construction infrastructure, and they say 100% not so confident, but we will continue to fight, right? Because we believe in Filipino engineers and Filipino talent. We believe in being part of nation building. So it's great that, it's not tempered, right? The pandemic has not tempered. It even highlighted really what you guys are very passionate about. Alex, earlier something struck me when you were presenting, right, about the funding, because we spoke earlier about the disparity, right, from SMEs and also from bigger companies, like losses and yet don't need funding, right? That's something that we'd like to look at. And you mentioned that because it's not anymore banking financing, right? Because we're having difficulties getting loans. We're talking about equity financing. So how does that now change the game in terms of being able to attract these direct investments for these companies?
Yeah, well, quite positively, in fact, because if the preference for financing is equity, um, then they will be looking for partners, and that's actually part of our job, and especially Jade's job, to connect investors and investees together. I'm not plugging, but maybe I am. But PwC has a regional practice that, and we have all this list of potential investors and potential investees, and we can connect local companies, whether they're just looking for a financial partner or a strategic partner, whatever is good for them. I mean, we can help them do that and help them in their valuation as well. Um, well, basically making them more attractive to investors. We can do that for them. But I'm not really sure if I answered your question there. I was distracted by my plugin. Um,
I
what
was
was
gonna
your
say
question?
Plug-C. Plug-C. No, because how do we become more attractive, right, to
Yeah.
foreign
So
investments? Yeah.
yeah. So being attractive to foreign investors is apologies, but it's really largely the job of government and governance. And based on my conversations with investors, of course they're concerned about how we handle the pandemic, because that will also dictate what will happen to them when they come over here. But they're really concerned about the predictability of government action. Like, for instance, if we pass a law, will we implement it? If the government enters into a contract, will the government honor it? And I'm not saying that the government is not honoring it all the time or it's not implementing laws all the time, but they're very particular about this, because that impacts on their business plan, impacts on their models, financial models. So that is number one. We need to establish credibility in that regard. And while there's already a lot of things that happened on easing up doing business, there's still a lot of things that should be done in terms of implementation. So you see, there's this law, and then it needs to get implemented at the local government units, for instance, at different government agencies. Doing business should not be such a hard thing. But as I said earlier, maybe we can all level the playing field by digital transformation. We all deserve that. Filipinos deserve that. And there's no reason why we cannot be a global economy or a global city.
Thanks, Alex. And I wanted to about this idea of building back, but building back better, right? We saw the survey show that top action plans, very interestingly, majority was said implement sustainable practices, right? Launch new products and services, explore new market channels. So I wanted to get a clear picture from Rain and Anne. What is the next focus for you in terms of what are your next steps? And especially along that line, right? How can you know, how can you lead your company to be at the right side of change? Because we don't want to just go back to how things were before, right? So we'd love to hear what is next for both of you. Anne, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, collaboration, as also Ma'am Alma mentioned earlier, we have started the conversation with the academe, these schools that are producing this seafaring manpower, not only seafarers but also the cruise workers. So these are the cashiers, accountants, nurses working in the cruising industry. So we have opened that communication so that from the academe to the industry, and we're hoping that domestic is in the middle, and then preparing them to go global. We all know that we cannot compete with their dollars that they're making outside. If you ask seafarers, young seafarers, young students, ask them what's their goal. Their goal is really ultimately to go abroad. And that is really a problem for us in the domestic ferry industry when we cannot compete with the dollars that they make outside. And here we are with modern ships, but we don't have the manpower because they want to go abroad. So we have to be creative, and we have to be really strategic in preparing that pipeline of manpower for the maritime industry. And so that's what we are doing, just really collaborating and opening up the communication to build that steady pipeline of maritime workers, and starting from the academe, from domestic to the global. That's one. Two, of course, that more fast cats. And in our fast cats, we're just so confident with the design that we have because we had the Filipino in mind. Chet, my husband, is actually the one handling this, working with our ship builders and ship designers. So whatever improvements we can do with what we learned along the way in our experience, we put it in the design of the ship, considering the Filipino and the islands in mind. So yeah, innovation, and we see that it will have a ripple effect in our capacity building along the way. So there, collaboration, capacity building, connecting the Philippine Islands. That is what is next for us. We have written our Vision 2030. And yeah, pretty much digitalization is in place. And yeah, more design and maybe shipbuilding in the next, pa-plugging din ako. We want to go public and go public, hopefully. Yeah, we get there. That's why, Lorraine's my mentor, by the way. She's a mentor. I'm the mentee. I'm, of course, Alex also. I hope to God that we can make it happen. What's next for us, and just really, connecting the islands and providing that for them, because we know that if we connect them, there will just be a whole development that will be brought to the islands. There. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, a planned IPO, more women ringing the bell. So excited. The stock exchange.
Yeah.
Rain, you're leading the pack. Inspiration. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, as a publicly listed company, I'm grateful for the opportunity and that whatever I can help. We've been submitting ESG reports. And we're actually preparing to launch a 5-year plan. But actually, we've been doing initiatives even earlier. We actually have maybe about 25% of our stores have solar panels. So even way back 2016, we had actually already started this. And we are proceeding to ramp up all branches where sunlight is available, and that's something that we believe in, the renewable energy. And we've embraced switching from plastic bags to paper bags, even regardless of what the LG requires. So paper bag, that's something we believe in. And for employees, I'm sitting in front of you today. We believe in women empowerment. Many of our VPs, actually our officers, are women, our store managers. So we believe in empowering and giving merit where merit is due, regardless of gender. And this is something that I grew up with in the company, quote unquote. Even when I started in the business, there was never really a demarcation whether male or female, and that's something that I also believe in, and something that we want to take moving forward in our ESG initiatives and so much more. There's so much more opportunity actually for us. Anne touched on education, and that's something we believe in, training our people. And I know PwC is also, I saw in the video, you're endeavoring to really train your workforce, your worldwide workforce. And that's something for us, of course, on a smaller scale in the Philippines to really bring more education, and especially in the provinces where perhaps the educational attainment or the education quality is not as robust perhaps as in Metro Manila. And so all these opportunities to enhance and further, I suppose it's part of nation building because we employ so many people. We have thousands of employees, and this opportunity that we have to encourage, to educate, and to train them. And so, yeah, that's kind of the initiatives that we have right now.
And it's so interesting when I think about it, like Rain is in construction, hardware, right? And then Anne is in maritime industry, very male dominated. Same thing with me, engineering and construction. It's really great to see the women kind of also being very aggressive.
It's the women that decide on what to buy.
The one who holds the purse. Alex is smiling.
Yeah.
So now, before to wrap this up, we'd like to know this partnership between MAP and PwC is on its 7th year, right? It's actually interesting. You actually did a mid-year survey, again responding to the times, right, to the need. So to end this, I wanted to ask quickly, Alma, what is your biggest lesson, right, or takeaway from this? And then later on, I would like to end with Jade also sharing, having gone through the study, gone through the survey, what is it that the biggest takeaway you'd like for the audience to kind of remember, right, from this point on? All right, maybe we can go first with Alma.
Yeah. Actually, I think that the survey results, for the most part, showed similarity in thinking about the new realities that the business sector is facing. But the value of the finding is not simply the content. It's like, reinforcement about what we instinctively know already to be the situation. But rather, it's the collective optimism. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this, that we are all, at the end of the day, human beings, and our first instinct is really to survive in this problem that is confronting us. But more than that, it's the fact that people remain optimistic, remain fighting, I like the energy of Mary Ann, for example. They keep on saying, fight, fight, fight. And that, I think, is the biggest takeaway in this survey. That in the end, we are still very happy about what is going on, about the pace of recovery that we're facing. No matter how slow, basta sama-sama tayo, kakayanin natin to. And I think even when we look at the surveys about Philippines done by outside parties, sometimes they tend to make us feel as if it's the whole of the country that is experiencing that. But I think if you look further into the intricacies of all of these results, there are pockets of excellence. And in the end, if we are able to multiply those pockets of excellence, then we will be able to excel in some areas, because it's not, even human beings, not perfect in everything, no? So, hindi naman natin masasabi that we will 100% perfect. But there will be instances where we will excel. And I think resilience, as I said, optimism, and the fact that we're still gung-ho about our country is the biggest positive factor that all of these surveys will impart to our members and to the business sector. So let's just keep on fighting. Matatapos din yan.
I love it. Fighting. Jade.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what Alma mentioned. No? And of course, hearing our CEO's talk about their plans and how passionate they are about building stronger businesses is really, truly, truly inspiring. No? And I think this pandemic is one of the greatest learning opportunity of our generation. It has forced us to take a closer look at our own organizations and even on our own personal circumstances. It has also reminded us of our priorities and our values. Things that we thought were not possible then can actually be done and done quickly, right? For instance, we never thought that 100% work from home would happen, but now we have two-thirds of the CEOs saying that they will continue to adopt flexible working arrangements, even post-COVID. Conventional retailers were forced to put up online shops in record time or risk closing their businesses. We thought we cannot close deals without face-to-face meetings or site visits, but there were more M&A deals closed globally in the second half of 2020 and at record-breaking values at that, no? And we are seeing that to continue on this 2021. This pandemic, of course, has tested our resilience, as Alma mentioned, and the business community, I'm proud to say, has responded quite well. I think I mentioned earlier that businesses have adjusted their business models to adapt to the new reality, and they continue to fall forward. Rain also alluded to this earlier. As Alma said, there's no guidebook to this that we can use. So even CEOs with their years of experience know that you cannot get all things right immediately given the uncertainties. But nonetheless, what's important is that they have taken a hard look in their businesses and continue to modify their plans as appropriate. No? One result that you mentioned earlier, Jean, and that I would like to highlight is when CEOs were asked what they will prioritize in the next 12 months, 57% of them responded that they will implement more sustainable practices. And we have talked about ESG even pre-COVID, but it has become a hot topic in the last year or so. I think most of the webinars I've attended mention ESG, no? And companies should start, if they have not yet done so, to seriously incorporate ESG in their corporate strategy. ESG being part of CSR is no longer enough. Doing tree planting or donating to typhoon-affected areas are commendable and even necessary, but they are no longer differentiated. And there are many things that companies can do. No? First, review their carbon footprint, improve energy efficiency, and use renewable energy in their operations will be a good start. And I'm glad Rain mentioned that too. Reducing waste and using recyclable or reusable packaging is another. And of course, supporting suppliers who have inclusive labor practices will also create a ripple effect in the market. Truly taking care of the environment and embracing ESG is not only for marketing, but will also inspire our employees who will be proud to be working for us, for our companies. No? Ethical and conscious consumerism is definitely gaining momentum, and we'll find more and more consumers to be more supportive of brands or companies that provide clean, sustainable, and healthy products. And this is more important for us in the Philippines, not just because 70% of the Filipino consumers say so, but because Philippines is one of those countries that will be significantly impacted by climate change. Ultimately, we all have to do our part. So, as Alma said, we leave behind a more sustainable living environment for the next generation. Alma also mentioned earlier that we will soon launch the annual CEO survey, and this is actually our 7th year of partnership with the MAP, and we are truly honored and grateful. We've seen what COVID can do. We now know how we can respond. It's now time to look forward and plan for the future. Hopefully, a better and more inclusive one.
I love it. You know, the what came out of here, you know, the instinct to survive in spite of, despite of, and yet, diba, kaya pala. And it's fighting for others, right? It's not just for yourselves, it's fighting for others, for your employees, for your staff, and for your country, right? That collective optimism and the shared prosperity. And that would really mean, di ba, walang iwanan, including the next generation. So that means, di ba, having a better world, right? Not just, depleting everything now. And it all reminded us to kind of reflect on that. And very excited that this has now become essentially mainstream, right? Based on your survey, this has now become mainstream and into the consciousness of everyone in our CEO. So thank you very much I had a wonderful conversation. I am amid such great women. And of course, Alex, our only thorn among the roses. Thank you so much to PwC and MAP MAP for also having us here.
We would like to express our sincere gratitude to our panelists, Ms. Alma Rita Jimenez of MAP, Ms. Lorraine Bello Cincochan of Wilcon, Ms. Mary Ann Pastrana of FastCat, Ms. J. Divina Gracia and Attorney Alex Cabrera of PwC, and of course, our opening remarks speaker, Mr. Roderick Danao, our chairman and senior partner. And last but not the least, for expertly managing the discussion, Ms. Jean De Castro of ESCA. Our heartfelt thanks to you, our attendees, especially to the journalists who took the time to listen. Special thanks to the teams at MAP and PwC for making this afternoon possible. For survey details, please visit our webpage www.pwc.com/ph/2021 mid-year-CEO-survey. Before you go, please take the time to fill up our event evaluation form. Simply click the link at that we will be sharing at the chat box. Thanks everyone. Stay safe and stay dry.